Let's dive into something pretty mind-bending today.
Sounds fun.
We're going deep on interuniversalism.
Okay.
It's a concept from Mohammad Ali Taheri, the founder of the Erfan-e Keyhani Halqeh school of thought.
Interesting.
It really pushes us to think bigger about, well, about ourselves, about our identity, way beyond just like national identity or even, being earthlings.
I say so much bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how Taheri tackles this whole idea of human identity. He argues that a lot of humanity's issues, conflict, poverty, those environmental challenges we're facing, stems from us not really understanding where we fit in the grand scheme of things. Like we have this limited view.
Yeah, like a sort of identity crisis.
Oh, that's interesting you say that.
Right.
It's like we're all having a quarter-life crisis, but on a planetary scale.
Not exactly, though that's an interesting way to think about it.
I know, but come on. Is that kind of what he's getting at?
Well, what Taheri's really saying is that we often get caught up in these smaller identities, right? Like our families, our nations.
Yeah.
Even just identifying as earthlings.
Which feels pretty big already.
You'd think so, but he says these smaller identities actually distract us from our true purpose, our true potential.
Okay, so clinging to those familiar identities, it's actually holding us back.
Yeah, think about it this way. When we prioritize national identity above all else, what happens?
Well, conflict, right? Division between countries.
Exactly. And even our earthling identity, we haven't fully embraced it, have we?
I guess not when you look at how we're treating the planet.
Right. We're still depleting resources, swabbling over land. It's like, imagine we're all in a big house.
Okay.
But we're so focused on our own little rooms that we forget we share the same house.
Wow, that's a powerful way to put it.
Yeah.
So if these smaller identities are part of the problem, what's the solution? What does Taheri propose?
Well, he emphasizes the importance of broadening our sense of self to encompass a much larger, more universal perspective. He calls this interuniversal identity.
Interuniversal identity.
It's the recognition that we belong not just to this planet, not even to this universe, but to all of existence.
Okay, that's a massive leap.
It is.
Going from worrying about my neighborhood to all of existence.
Exactly. It is a huge shift in perspective because when you see everything as interconnected, the way you live completely transforms. You don't just care about your family or your country or your species. You start seeing yourself as responsible for the entire ecosystem of existence. And this is where true peace begins. This is why humanity has been stuck in cycles of war, poverty, and destruction, because we have been operating from a false sense of self.
A bit overwhelming, to be honest.
It can be, definitely.
What exactly does Taheri mean by existence? It seems he views the cosmos as just a part of a larger existence.
Well, Mr. Taheri perceives existence as something beyond the cosmos, introducing an immense truth behind this universe that could be described as infinite.
Right.
In the teachings of the Erfan-e Halqeh school, he discusses understanding and exploring these other aspects of human existence. He explores the significance of human creation on this universe. And through these courses, individuals come to realize their true value and the intelligent, purposeful plan behind humanity's existence on this unique Earth today.
That's really fascinating.
That's why Taheri says, embracing this interuniversal identity, it can be incredibly liberating.
Liberating how so?
Well, it allows us to see ourselves as part of a grand, interconnected whole. A cosmic family, if you will.
A cosmic family. Okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around that, what that would even feel like. But how can we develop such a broad, interuniversal perspective? More specifically, how can individuals be empowered to embrace this worldview?
Mr. Taheri explains that the only way for individuals to elevate their perspective is by connecting to the cosmic consciousness network, allowing them to access the awareness provided by this intelligence and broaden their outlook on life.
Right. Let me also add that in our previous podcasts, we've delved deeply into the concept of the cosmic consciousness network, and listeners can refer back to those episodes for more detailed explanations.
Yes, absolutely. And they will find it is a paradigm-shifting concept indeed. In the Erfan-e Halqeh training courses, participants are entrusted with the ability to directly connect to this governing intelligence of the universe.
Okay.
A common experience shared by students is the transformation they undergo, reporting an enhanced perspective of the universe and a deeper understanding of life, the intention and philosophy of creation, the uncompromising value of humans, and our purpose on Earth.
Yes.
Many describe how completing these courses and connecting to the cosmic consciousness network has profoundly changed their lives. Precisely, they find meaning in life.
So basically, it's about connecting to this cosmic internet. Once we're connected, it shares information with us, leading to greater understanding and a shift in our perspective.
Yes, exactly. Transforming the way we view existence. One form of this information is intuitive perceptions, leading to inner journeys, which also lead us to deeper insights and a more profound awareness of reality.
Does he give any examples? Like, how does this interuniversal identity actually play out in a person's life?
It changes everything. It changes our entire approach to life.
Like how?
Well, it impacts how we treat others, how we interact with the environment,
Right.
even how we approach our own personal growth. For example, he talks about how every single thing in the universe, even a tiny particle, plays a vital role.
So, like, there's no such thing as being insignificant in this worldview.
Absolutely not. Every action, even the seemingly small ones, they become meaningful when you view them through this lens of interuniversalism.
Interesting.
It's about recognizing the ripple effect of our choices, understanding that we're all interconnected in ways we may not even fully grasp yet.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this could really shift our priorities as humans.
Mm.
But hasn't humanity always been trying to figure this stuff out?
In a way, yeah.
I mean, science, religion, philosophy, they've all been grappling with our place in the universe for centuries. Where does interuniversalism fit in?
That's a great question. Taheri isn't saying we should abandon those fields completely,
Okay.
but he does point out that they often fall short when their focus becomes too narrow.
Too narrow. What does that mean?
We'll take science, for example. He argues that some scientific perspectives can reduce humans to just chemical reactions.
Oh, I see.
And that misses the essence of what it means to be human.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And certain religious interpretations can become too dogmatic, restricting free thought and exploration.
Right.
And even philosophy, as wise as it is, hasn't definitively solved our biggest problems or answered our biggest questions, such as why we are here and where we are going to.
So, as we mentioned earlier, he sees interuniversalism as a way to draw human attention to the entirety of existence and to elevate human thought and identity to the level of the universe. At this level, we aim to rise above all ethnic, tribal, racial, and national limitations and perceive ourselves as belonging to a unified existence.
Precisely. He believes it can help us make sense of our existence, our role within it all.
This is all very thought-provoking, but I have to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling to grasp the scale of what we're talking about here. Interuniversal identity, all of existence.
Yeah, not just this universe, but all the parallel and all the neighboring universes that in Erfan-e Keyhani Halqeh are introduced as making up the entirety of existence.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. And it's totally natural to feel a bit overwhelmed by it.
I guess so. Because we are not used to thinking at that level. We have learned to only identify with our place of birth, our family, our language, culture, community, but not with the entire universe.
But that's kind of the beauty of it, isn't it? It pushes us to expand our thinking, to challenge those assumptions we hold about ourselves and the world.
Yeah, I see that.
And to consider the possibility that there's so much more to reality than we currently understand. He even argues that humans are uniquely capable of understanding and striving for a peace that transcends the survival instincts of the animal kingdom. We have the intellectual capacity to grasp our interconnectedness and create a harmonious world.
So this ideal of peace goes beyond the absence of conflict, right?
Absolutely.
It's about a deeper sense of harmonization.
Yeah.
A recognition that we're all in this together.
We are.
Striving towards a common good.
And this sense of interconnectedness also ties into Taheri's views on freedom awareness and contentment.
Okay, it seems counterintuitive that recognizing our interconnectedness could lead to a greater sense of freedom.
Right.
Wouldn't it feel more restrictive knowing our actions impact the entire network?
It's not about external restrictions, but rather liberating ourselves from internal limitations.
Okay.
Think of it like this.
Yeah.
Imagine a bird in a cage with the door wide open.
Okay.
Even with physical freedom, if the bird doesn't realize it can fly,
Yeah.
if it's unaware of its potential, it remains trapped.
So true freedom comes from recognizing our capacity to contribute to the harmony of the whole.
Precisely. Taheri believes that contentment arises from aligning our actions with this understanding.
Okay.
It's about finding fulfillment and knowing we're playing our part in the grand symphony of existence.
He also believes that having freedom alone isn't enough for a good life. Many countries have some level of freedom, but people still don't feel as happy or fulfilled as they should. they struggle with a lack of knowledge and spirituality in their lives. That's why, along with freedom, we also need awareness and knowledge. In fact, for a life where everyone can truly feel satisfied and attain a sense of contentment, freedom and awareness must go hand in hand.
And this brings us to a concrete example of interuniversal principles in action.
Okay.
Taheri's manifesto for Iran's Renaissance.
Can you tell me more about this manifesto? What are some of its key points?
It's a fascinating document
Okay.
that emphasizes human dignity and freedom and the rejection of all forms of slavery.
Interesting.
It advocates for the inherent worth and equality of all individuals regardless of background or beliefs.
This aligns perfectly with interuniversalism, doesn't it?
It does.
Recognizing our shared humanity and working together to create a world where everyone can thrive.
It's a powerful example of how interuniversal principles can be applied to real-world issues,
Yeah.
promoting peace, justice, and individual flourishing.
One topic that keeps coming up a lot these days is how, with the increasing roboticization of life and advancements in artificial intelligence, while these have certainly brought many benefits, human identity is fading more and more each day. On the surface, it might seem like humanity is progressing, but behind the scenes, something else is happening. Humans are gradually losing their value and their place in the universe.
Exactly. And this is where embracing perspectives like interuniversalism can help preserve human identity, despite all these advancements.
So it's about moving beyond a purely utilitarian view of the world,
Right.
where everything is valued for its usefulness to humans.
Exactly.
Instead, we start to appreciate the inherent worth of all beings, regardless of their perceived utility.
We do.
He has this beautiful quote in the text
Okay.
where he says, "They begin to see everything as sacred, attributing value to all phenomena."
I like that.
It's a beautiful sentiment. It's about approaching the world with a sense of awe and wonder,
Yes.
rather than taking it for granted.
Right.
It reminds me of the feeling you get when you travel to a new place and experience a different culture.
Yeah.
Everything feels fresh and exciting because you're seeing it with new eyes.
Right.
Interuniversalism invites us to bring that same sense of curiosity and appreciation to our everyday lives.
I agree. And this kind of brings us to another key aspect of interuniversalism,
Okay.
understanding God through an interuniversal lens.
Interesting.
Taheri critiques the traditional view of God as a distant figure,
Right.
separate from creation.
Yeah.
Instead, he presents the idea of God as omnipresent.
Existing in every place and time and moment.
Interesting.
It's a concept he refers to as the oneness and uniqueness of God.
Okay.
So instead of confining God to a specific location or realm,
Right.
interuniversalism suggests that the divine permeates all of existence.
That's right. From this perspective, even the smallest particle to the largest galaxy reflects the divine. It's a profound shift from seeing God as separate from creation
Yeah.
to recognizing the divine spark within everything.
It's a beautiful idea.
Oh,
It makes me think of it saying God is in the details.
yeah.
It's about recognizing the sacredness of all aspects of creation.
I like it.
Not just the grand and awe-inspiring,
Right.
but the seemingly mundane as well. But I also wonder if there's a certain resistance to these kinds of big picture ideas, especially in a world that feels very fragmented, very focused on the individual.
I think you're right. It's easier to focus on the immediate, the tangible, the things right in front of us, you know? It takes courage and imagination to step back and consider the bigger picture, to really contemplate our place in this vastness of existence.
It does, but even though it's challenging, there's also something incredibly liberating about it. What do you say? It's like we're being offered this chance to break free from the limitations of these smaller identities we cling to and really explore the full potential of, well, of who we are as humans.
Absolutely. It's like stepping out of a tiny little room and into this vast, boundless universe. And who knows? Who knows what incredible discoveries await us out there?
Right. It definitely feels like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. This has been a really thought-provoking conversation, and I feel like we've only scratched the surface of what interuniversalism could mean for humanity.
I agree. It's a huge and complex idea with so much potential to change how we see ourselves, our relationships with each other, and our place in the universe.
And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, a desire to explore these ideas further, and maybe even a longing to experience this profound interconnectedness for yourselves. Thank you for joining us on this journey of exploring interuniversalism.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope it sparked a sense of wonder and inspired you to see the world and your place within it with new eyes.